I don't think people in the arts are that political, but I do think they have strong ideas of how the world should be and how society should be. Because if they tell the truth shall make you free. And I believe that. There isn't a day that I don't laugh uproariously at something, and there isn't a day that I'm almost in tears about something. And that's what every book is, and every story is, and every good film is. It's full of laughter and tears, because that's what life is. I was given the book by John Ball, and it was about a black detective on the Pasadena police force. I didn't think of it as making a strong racial statement as much as I can't believe it being made in Hollywood and having the same impact. So, I met with Sterling Siliphant, who was a writer from New York, who I knew from television. He was a great character writer. I mean, all of the people in his stories really came through. So I got together with Sterling and we changed the location. And of course, this was when there were all kinds of racial disturbances on television, and a lot of them were in the South. And so, naturally, we were affected by what we saw on television. I remember meeting with Sidney and talking about the screenplay. I was really struck with how intelligent he was. He was not a method actor. He was a cerebral actor. And I had done the first big black television special with Harry Belafonte, and Sidney was aware of that because he was a good friend of Harry's. So I kind of used Harry in a way to make sure that Sidney was comfortable. In a way, he was much cooler than Rod. And I liked that because it kind of went with the characters.
In the meanwhile, you just killed yourself a white man, just about the most important white man we got around here, and picked yourself up $200.
I earned that money 10 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Colored can't earn that kind of money, boy. Hell, that's more than I make in a month. Now, where did you earn it?
He was a total method actor, Rod, and I was kind of nervous putting the two of them together because Rod was always looking for something to use. I said, I think it's too corny to have you with chewing on a cigar or chewing tobacco or something. He says, no, I'm going to chew gum. And he chewed gum through the whole film, but he would chew it in a way that when he stopped chewing, you knew that he had something to say.
Could have been a hitchhiker.
Like any good method actor, he really worked it. But they were totally different. Sidney was much more thoughtful, calculating, and his interpretation. I'll never forget, there was one scene where Rod got angry, and they were just outside a diner. And he was so angry, he slammed the door of the car so hard the car moved about 1/4 inch. And Sidney's eyes just looked. And when Rod got a little over the top, I would kind of tap him on the shoulder. Let's do one with a little less now. As the shooting went on, the relationship between the two characters became warmer and warmer, more understanding, I think. And I think they had a lot of respect for each other. I mean, Sidney started to have a little bit of respect for Rod because he realized that when it came down to the scene, he was so believable. I remember talking with Lynn Stallmaster, my casting director, and I said, if we could find actors from the South that were born in the South, that come from the South. It will help so much to make this film believable. And so, first person we found that I just loved was Warren Oates, who was from Kentucky. And the moment I read him in the part, it felt so real and so right. When he says, "On your feet, boy."
On your feet, boy.
And he was such a good actor. I just had to have Warren Oates.
I mean now.
I was always a big fan of Willie Wyler's work, and Bob Schwenk was his editor, and his assistant was Hal Ashby. And so I went over and I met with Hal Ashby, and I said, "Would you read a script? Because I really would like you to consider coming with me on this adventure." He read it and called me and said, "Oh, this is wild, man. This is just wild. I can't wait." Hal was always a great believer in civil rights, and he was very cool. And I really liked him. I mean, we hit it off, and Hal stayed with me for quite a few films together. We had our own editing room we had a little bungalow on the Goldwyn studio lot. And I think it used to belong to Frank Sinatra. But anyway, it was a tiny little bungalow. And I grew some flowers around it. And Hal would sleep there. And that's how close he was to the film. He slept with it. and he never stopped working. This is what I admired about Hal.
Keep control when I have to sell my soul.
Music is kind of important because it opens with a song. The lyrics had to be right. And so I had worked with the Bergmans before, and they wrote the lyrics to In the Heat of the Night. And when I got Quincy, I said to Quincy, "This is blues. Who do you see singing this?" He said, "The best blues singer in America." I said, "You don't mean Ray Charles? You think we could get him?" He said, "I grew up with him. What are you talking about?"
In the heat of the night, I've got trouble.
And so Ray Charles came over to the studio. Quincy says, "Well, why don't you show him the picture before he hears the song?" And I said, "How's he going to see it? He's blind." And he said, "Well, you can tell him what's taking place." So I'll never forget, I showed him the film, and the scene where Sidney gets slapped by Endicott, and he slaps him back. All Ray Charles heard was slap, slap. And he says, "Did he hit him back?" And I said, "Yes." Shakes his head and he starts rocking. And he says, "Maximum green, man. That's maximum green." And he was so hip, I never understood what he was saying. And all I know is that he was really impressed with that. And then when Alan Bergman came in a little later and sang him the lyrics to In the Heat of the Night, he says, "Oh, man, he's a brother, right?" I said, "No, he's white." He says, "No, he ain't." So I knew we had a good song, and that everything was working for Ray. I think certain simpatico relationships develop. And I was very close to Haskell. And there's one shot in the heat of the night that I'm very proud of. We were down on the banks of the Mississippi, and all of a sudden we realize he's going across the bridge. And you can see the tiny figure running across the empty bridge. I said, do you have a lens that we could move in that far? He said, well, we got a 500 millimeter. So they bring out this, I'd never seen it before. They brought out this big 500 millimeter zoom lens. So I said to Haskell, when you zoom in, if I just sing a little beat, can you make the move in 8 bars? So that you finish the shot when I finish singing to you. And he said, well, that'd be wild, man. That'd be wild. Okay. Now, you ready? I said, 1, 2, 3. Then I showed it to Quincy. I said, can you pick it up in the same beat? He said, no problem. So when I see that shot, every time I see that shot, I go crazy because I realize it's one of the best shots of any of the films I've shot.